ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another installment of The Wave Show. My name is the one and only, and today we have in studio we have the lovely Carlene, and Carlene is with us from the World Financial Group, and she's going to be speaking to us a little bit about insurance and the insurance field. Carlene, how are you today?
I'm good, thank you.
Good. So how was your coming into the office today? Everything was good?
Yes, everything was fine.
That's good. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name is Carlene Blackwood, and have been in the financial industry for over 22 years of my life. And so I have gained a passion for financing and educating families. I've been in the insurance industry for about a year now, but I find that it is the same as within finances because I learned so much more about what you can actually do with insurance and how it can really impact your life.
Okay. And originally, where are you from originally? Were you born here or are you from originally?
No, I migrated to Canada, say about 25 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And shortly after that, started in the financial industry. In Jamaica, I studied accounting.
Mm-hmm.
And, but I did not practice in Jamaica. So I came to Canada and I found my route and I found the financial industry as a place that I wanted to be.
That's sweet. How do you like working here in Canada?
In Canada, wow, it's different.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's just so many opportunities and so many aspects of learning, growing, developing yourself in Canada, and so it's a land of opportunity.
Really, it is. Eh?
That's right. So anybody can make it here.
And that's good to hear because a lot of people when they do come to Canada, like I was born here, I'm from Canada.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people, some people have mixed emotions in terms of how they situated themselves and how they found their niche. What was your first job experience in Canada like?
My first experience in Canada, I went through an agency. There was a particular agency that connects you and they teach you about interview skills and then they incorporate you into a field that you were interested in. And so my first role was with the Bank of Montreal.
Mm-hmm.
And so I, got into the financial industry then.
Mm-hmm.
And then it didn't work out in BMO, so I transitioned again with friends to another financial institution.
Nice. Now, did you realize when you were in Jamaica that you wanted to get into finances, or was something that happened here in Canada that made you kind of shift to get into finances?
I was in accounting, so I studied accounting in Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
So because of that, that is the area that I thought I wanted to, extend my career.
Oh, right on. And what would you say the major perks are of being in the financial industry?
Money.
Okay, what's that?
That's right.
Tell us a bit more about the money. I like to know about money.
Well, I like to know about money because money makes the world runs, okay?
Yeah.
And if you have money and you know how to make money work for you,
right,
then you have a future.
Right.
So that is the reason why I was interested in financing because then I understand money and I wanted to be able to make money. And when I came to Canada, being in the financial industry, you learn a lot of things about mortgages, investments, and all that stuff. And I wanted to learn more because I know the more I know, the more I can apply to my own life.
Right.
And I can change my life and change my future.
I can totally respect that. And what would you say would be some of the ups and downs about being in the financial industry?
Well, like any employment, there are challenges on a daily basis.
Right.
But the fact is that you have to have the urge and the desire to learn. And once you want to learn, you just take advantage of all the courses, all the opportunities, connecting with the right people, and then talking to them and getting information, and let yourself grow. Because when you expound and when you expand in your capacity, you're able to do more. So the challenges over the year is there is a lot of competition. So you have to be good at what you're doing.
Right.
And what I've learned is about engaging with clients, putting your clients first. And when you connect with people and you show them that you really care about them and that customer service, then they will remember you, they will come back, they will provide more service to you. So that is what I like, engaging. Also with newcomers, because I was once a newcomer to
Right.
Canada. And when you do enter into Canada and if you don't know the system, then you get lost.
Right.
So being in the financial industry, having newcomers to Canada, that was something that I was so excited about because I wanted to share with them
Exactly.
all the opportunities that are available in Canada.
No, I'm glad that you're advocating for newcomers as well too, because as Canadians, as that's what we do. That's what we do. That's what we are as Canadians. We help each other out. And it's funny you said that. I think Maya Angelou had said something along the lines of, "You'll sometimes in life you'll forget what people say to you, but you'll never forget how they made you feel."
That's right.
So with you saying that, it actually touches a soft spot, and it's like, yo, you know, that really feels good. Well, my question to you is, and I hope nobody does take this way, but this is an open forum, and we ask questions. In terms of dealing with Black people or visual minorities, what has been the challenges for you? Because I know sometimes when you speak to visual minorities or Black people about investments and their savings, a lot of times it's like, boy, things not going right. No, I don't have no money to save, or it's kind of hard. I'm living paycheck to paycheck. What would you say would be some of the challenging aspects in dealing with visual minorities in terms of these are the importance of investment and this is how you could start? Like, is there like an incubation system that you would have to kind of roll them out into it, or?
Well, first it's all about mindset. And if a person is not mentally in the right mindset and want to achieve more,
Right.
it's really hard because no matter what you say to them, it will never resonate. So with my community, what I find is that it's sad to say, though, that they're still in this victim mentality, feeling that they're a victim and there's no possibility, there's no hope for them. And that's such a lie. It's not true. There is hope. But again, we have to get out of that mind frame that we are enslaved in that mind frame that we have to stay poor. There's no opportunity. There's no way because I'm Black. You're Black. You're strong. You're beautiful. The world is there for you.
Amen.
And you just have to step out.
Right.
And you have to put yourself out there. And you have to change your mindset about how do I think. I deserve, as a Black woman, to achieve anything in this world.
Right.
Okay? Martin Luther King fought for our freedom. And when he fought, he died. Why are we allowing him to die in vain? We should stand up as Black women and Black men and take what's rightfully ours. And there it is here in Canada. So why are we denying ourselves? So I think the main thing is changing your mindset and reaching out and doing the right thing.
What age group, very well said, by the way, which age group do you think is to say like the easiest to kind of work with, where you can kind of say, hey, you know what, you're not getting any younger, you're getting older, I see those kids running around. Have you ever thought about, like, do you have to diplomatically position it in a certain way for them to kind of digest it, or 9 times out of 10 they come up to you and say, hey, you know what, Carlene, I've been thinking about what you said to me the other day, and essentially this is something I definitely want to get into?
Age group, when it comes to or minority,
like in terms of like age group, in terms of just an age group of people that you would say is a little bit easier for them to look at the paperwork or say, hey, you know what, I'm having an information session next week Thursday or next week Friday, come on in. Do you believe that is more of the older generation between 30 to 40 will be more interested, or do you have any of the younger generation that?
Well, I find the older generation, like 30, 36 going up, they are now understanding how it is in Canada. And if they're working, if they've completed their careers and they have a job, they're looking for opportunities. They're looking to purchase their first home, or having kids and a family. So they need a foundation, and those people are willing to learn, because the most exciting thing is that they got their first job. And I would always try to educate them about using RSPs as a means to buy your first house, because the government allows you to take that $20,000, $25,000 out of your RSP and use it as a down payment. So those people, once they just need education, and a lot of times the 36 to 50, they will listen. They will listen more than the younger generation because they find that the millenniums, they find that they want to enjoy life. They want to travel. They want to do all the fun things first before they seriously think about,
Investing
settling down. That's
future.
right. Yeah.
Like I always find it challenging when I personally, like, for me myself, I live in an apartment, I rent. I want to be a homeowner one day. So like I'm slowly dabbling into stocks and I have a few investments and stuff like that. What would you say would be like the most challenging thing for a young person or within that group of like the demographic of like 30 to 40 or to 50 when they come to you and say, I'd like to purchase a home, but this whole stress test, I got so much different obstacles in my way. When they kind of bring those obstacles in the way, what way do you have to like mitigate that solution to kind of a breakdown to say, hey, you know what, this is the first step if you want to buy a home. This is the second step, third step. Do you have a secret sauce?
Well, the secret sauce is RSPs. I find that's the quickest way that anyone can accumulate funds in order to use as down payment. Because the fact is that if you have $10,000 and you can invest into your RSP, that also decreases your tax bracket when you do your income taxes. So you're going to get back some money from the government.
Right.
And that money is in your RSPs. Then you use it if you had to borrow a loan and pay back some of that loan,
Right.
RSP loan. Now, if you do that, say, for example, if you have a goal for 5 years and you do that 5 years, at least you have sufficient funds to use as even a 5% down payment on a house. Now, it depends on where you want to purchase that home. So if you set your 5-year goal, where you want to purchase the house, you try to get a pre-approval mortgage and you start saving through your RSPs, then eventually, especially if you have a spouse, then both of you can leverage
that combined income.
That's
together.
right. And you can combine the RSPs because both of you can take from your RSPs and use it as your down payment.
So the whole RSP route, that would be like, that's pretty good for leverage.
That's correct. What I found, that's the fastest way of achieving that because that's what I did for myself.
See that, folks? Leverage is everything. So like in terms of leverage, RSPs are good. I got the whole, okay, my stocks, I can use that as an asset. What would you say is the best way to develop or to build leverage? Like you just mentioned a little while ago, putting a little bit of something to the side. How much percent would you say, if possible?
It all depends because as a financial advisor, you advise the client to always have several baskets. So for example, you have your retirement basket, you have your emergency funds, and then you have your tax-free savings account. So if you have all these different baskets and you're budgeting, making sure that you're budgeting on a monthly basis, and you have your goal in place, you write your goals down and you set your plan in place, you can always achieve it. No mutual funds or any stocks are going to give you cash. It's for the long term. Those are for the 10 years before you actually see a significant difference in your investments. If you have the right investment vehicle to invest and your risk tolerance, because we have to take into consideration your risk tolerance, your objectives, and because if you don't take risk, you will not really see a significant difference in your money. And if you take too much risk, you might also lose. So it's not good to have all your eggs in one basket. It's always good to have different baskets.
So risk tolerance, is that basically brother, sister related to the whole stress test? Are they basically similar in that sense? Or?
No, it's like you're talking about stocks and you're talking about investments. So when you are investing, there are different categories. So if you are a risk taker and you want to take risks, then you can get into a fund that is more volatile, meaning that it will invest in equity funds and stuff like that. Those things are kind of more risky. So we have to take into consideration the person's risk tolerance and take into the fact that it's their objective. When are they planning on purchasing this house? Is it in the next 10 years or it's in the next 5 years? If it's in the next 5 years, then this person can't really go into stocks and bonds and because those are more risky.
I like that. So you guys actually have like an incubation system to kind of help people get there. So like I know that normally like actuarians, you would go to them and you would sit down with them and they would say, okay, you're making this much amount of money a year. This is how old you are. This is your health situation. They can kind of break down your finances, how I want to invest it. But your company actually does something like that as well too.
With We're Financial Group, what we do, we educate people about how money works for you, how you can leverage investment, protection. Protection. The baskets, the financial foundation is protection.
Mm-hmm.
So how you can leverage protection. So insurance, we advise insurance is the basic foundation, because if you don't insure your life, you have nothing. All right. So we have the protection first, and then we teach people about debt management. We teach people about emergency funds, and then that's when you start investing, because that's when you started having enough funds to play in the market.
So with what you're explaining right now, does that kind of sew into like life insurance as well too? Because I have apartment insurance for my apartment. Is fire the building, I get like what $10,000 compensation if anything were to happen to kind of rebuild. But it's aside from that, like, do you have some form of niche where you kind of sell in life insurance and all that stuff in one? Or
yes, the insurance industry in the past, we had, for example, we had term insurance and we had whole life insurance. So the insurance industry realized that there are people who are living longer, and because people are living longer, they're outliving their term insurance. And so the whole life is also another form. So what they did, they combined both, provide more flexibility, and came up with the universal life insurance.
Right.
So with universal life insurance, your life is insured, but you also have an investment portion, and you can also have term incorporate in there. So for example, if you do have children going to university, say they're 10 years old, you can have a 15 or 20-year term. If you have a mortgage, $500,000, you can also have a term for 30 years, because that's the amortization of your mortgage. Now, just in case you should pass away during that time period, your home would be protected, because you'd have the 500,000. Your child will also maybe have 100,000 to finish university, and then you will also have maybe another 100,000 that you've saved there for permanent insurance to cover, for example, your funeral expenses, and also and also, for example, cover wealth transfer, because when someone passes away, there is that taxes.
Right. That has to be paid.
That's correct. So the final estate has to be completed, the taxes has to be paid. So within the universal life insurance, it can cover all those basics for the client.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that, because the next question I was going to ask you is, with the crime that's going on in Toronto, with gun crime and elderly people that normally would live a little bit longer, living less time, and people that would normally tend to live a little bit longer, dying younger, how do you encompass that in terms of the calculations? Have things changed over the years in terms of your probability to live? Normally would probably be like 93 years old. But nowadays, with the cost of living, inflation, and health and stuff like that, it may be down to like 78. Do you see a change?
When you think about it, for example, one nationality might have that problem, but the majority of people do live longer, because what the industry is saying is that people are living really over 80, 90. The average time frame used to be like, I forgot, I think about 76, but people are living 80, 90, 100.
So life expectancy is actually augmented.
That's correct, because I saw this lady on YouTube. She was 101, and she was in the gym working out. So when you're thinking of that, 101, a permanent life insurance goes up to age 100. She's 101. She already passed that. So there are people who are living much longer. Why? Because of the health system. So we have health care. The crime is something that we can't avoid, but sometimes it happens. But it's not majority of the people. Okay? So it's maybe a small amount of people that's those things are happening too. But most of the society, they are living longer because of the healthcare system that we have in place and the technology to take care of things. So it varies.
Wow, it's a lot. It's a lot. It's like you're throwing a lot at me in terms of trying to catch the balls and juggle them at the same time. So you are a parent.
Yes.
You have your significant other. You're married. You're living your life. How do you encompass? You're juggling all these balls and these acts and being in the financial industry at the same time. Like, how do you make time? How does it work for you?
Well, a woman
Yes.
is a multitask.
A strong woman.
That's right. We multitask, and definitely you just have to find out what is important in your life, and you just have to find that balance. Okay, because you have the kids, you're building your career and everything. You just have to find that balance. You can't do too much, and you leverage the people around you. You have your kids. You teach them certain things. You have your spouse. You ask him to do certain things, and we leverage each other.
How does it work with kind of funneling the kids in a to be a little bit more financially responsible, a little bit more financially active? Do you find that it's easier for you to kind of help your kids out and kind of show them the light versus a parent that's not really into the financial industry and showing their kids what they know? Or
well, the thing is, it is amazing with the education right now because the schools are bringing in financial literacy into the schools to educate kids because they're growing up and they're getting out of school, they're getting into university, they're getting themselves into debt, and they have no understanding and concept. So the school's bringing that in, and that is a great thing. For myself, with my children, to be honest with you, I never taught them much about financing. I just provide them with whatever, and now I realize that's a bad thing. Okay?
Why would you say that?
Because the fact is that, and I think this is where the school also noticed that as well. There's too many kids that are coming out of schools, going into university, getting themselves into debt. The credit card is so easy for them to get. And before they know it, because they don't know the concept that you're borrowing money and you have to pay it back, then they're actually using money that is borrowed money, getting themselves into debt. So I have now started with my 12-year-old daughter because the older ones are already past that stage. So this book, for example, we have this book in our company called Saving Your Future.
Right.
So I give my 12-year-old this book to read.
Right on.
So it helps her to understand a bit about how money works.
Yeah.
And we talked to her about being a business owner, owning your own business, the advantages and disadvantages of owning your own business. And so she has a better idea of being an employer and owning your own business. Then she has a choice.
Making money matters smart. They have fun, and what I mean. So the basic principles of building a financial foundation. I find that if you make it interesting for kids, the more want to grasp it and kind of work with it, right?
That's right.
Because anything that's too complicated, kids don't want to hear about that.
That's
I'm a
right.
kid. I don't really need to learn about finances and things like that, so I'll let mom and dad deal with that.
But you know what? With the kids in the house, they're chores. That's how you start.
So that's
teaching.
how you set it up, eh?
That's right.
I like that. So I guess you kind of break it down into chores.
Yes.
And who does this and who does that.
That's right.
Do you have it like open where everybody can see it, or is it on a wall, or?
No, right now with my daughter, if you clean your room, you can get this much money. So she has her pet. So she has her cat, and so she wants to purchase certain things for her cat. So she knows, Mommy, how am I going to get the money? Because I'm not purchasing everything that you need. So she's like, Mommy, if I do this, if I shovel the snow. The other day she decided, I want to go to my neighbor and tell my neighbor that I want to shovel their snow for $20.
Right.
And she did.
Wow.
And she got $20 and she said, yes, Mommy, I got my $20. I'm putting it in my piggy bank. Yeah. Now, when she's going out with me, she doesn't want to bring her money. I'm saving my money.
Of course, most definitely. Most definitely. Spend mom's money and save mine, right?
So that is how she's learning the importance of money and the value of money. Right. So she knows that she has to do whatever it takes to get the money she needs in order to spend it, and she has to budget and she has to plan for whatever she needs. So with that education, I'm sure that when she reaches 29, 30, or whatever, or even younger, she already has a strategy in place.
Right. Early on, you touched on schools are introducing finances to kids. Is it more for like the elementary curriculum, or is it more geared to like high school?
More geared to high school. High
students.
school athletes, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And how do you think the high school students are? How do you think they fare now? Do you think they're learning, or they're grasping, or?
Well, it's something that's new. It just started, so we're hoping eventually that will make a difference. Yeah.
And like in terms of your everyday parent, what do you think they can do to kind of coach and mold their children into financial independence or freedom, for later on in their life? What do you think the key elements would be for parents?
The key elements, as I said, learning starts at home. Okay, before they even go to school, it starts at home. So as parents, don't buy your kids everything. Okay, especially our community, we think that giving our kids everything
that we never had.
That's right, and that's love. No, it's not.
I find that's poison as well too, because when I hear people saying, "I want to give my kids everything that I didn't get," and they're giving them this and they're giving them that, you're kind of taking out that work ethic and that me wanting to learn finances a little bit more.
That's right, because they don't know the value of the money. And this is the reason why you'd purchase expensive things for them and they destroy it, because they don't know the value of it. So when you teach them the value of what they're getting and how to appreciate it, I think sometimes it comes back to, we might think that we grew up in poverty, but I think we learn a bit more about stuff and money than these new generation kids, that we're trying to give more than what we had. But I think the way I grew up with my mom and dad not giving you everything, but letting you understand that you have to work for whatever you have and how to value it, I think that culture is the Caribbean culture compared to the Canadian culture. It's different.
Right.
And we value money more.
Right.
And we understand it a bit better.
What just to kind of summarize things, kind of top up things and finish things off, what kind of advice would you give somebody that's currently living in a rental property and they want to get to that home? What would be the first step if they don't have the best credit? What would you say?
If you don't have the best credit, what I would advise you to do is come up with a strategy, okay? As I mentioned before, budgeting. So you make sure that you budget, you make sure you pay your minimum payments on time. Right. Because the payment is what affects your credit scores.
The FICO score and the beacon
That's
score.
That's correct.
Stuff.
So making sure that the minimum payments are paid on time. If you have 5 credit cards, make sure you can put a strategy in place to pay the credit card that has the highest interest rate first, the minimum payment for that. Once you pay that off, you take that same funds and you put it onto the next credit card. Right. And by doing that consistently for a period of time, that also helps to build your credit score.
Sweet. That's sweet. Now, for our viewers at home, if they want to get in contact with you and they kind of want to, get in contact with you to learn more about investments, how would they reach out to you? Is there a website they can go to, or is there an email address, Instagram or Facebook? My
email address is pretty long, but my telephone number is 647-213-6423, and my website is www.wfgconnects.Carlene Boswell Blackwood. So it's pretty long, so it's best if you would call me at 647-213-6423.
Wow, that's beautiful, Carlene. It was a pleasure having you today here at the Wave Show. I'm pretty sure we're going to have you back again. So just to finish up and kind of go over other things, and I'm definitely going to make a stronger effort in my financial life to kind of get things fleshed out.
That's right.
Okay.
Well, thank you very much.
You're very welcome. You've had another show of the Wave Show here, so speak to you soon. Cheers.
You own a business in the city? Come to the Wave Show. No time a Big Willie? Come to the Wave Show. You think you got flows? Come to the Wave Show. You think you got jokes? Come to the Wave Show. You got a message for the people? Come to the Wave Show. You could be black, white, red, blue. Come to the Wave Show. It's all love. We wanna meet you. Come to the Wave Show.